And the guy answered me that I asked him, he said, when you speak to us and you talk to us in Yiddish, it's not you talking to us. It's your grandpa talking to our grandpas. And I felt like, goosebumps.
Hello everyone, my name is Frida Wiesel, and on this channel I explore many aspects related to Judaism, especially Hasidic Judaism, which is the world I come from and in which I lived for the first 25 years of my life. What's it like to leave and return? What's it like to no longer be Hasidic, but still roam its streets? This question, which has so animated my own journey, was probed by author Tuvia Tenenbom in the most insular worlds in Israel's Haredi enclaves of Mea Shearim and Bnei Brak. Tuvia is from the Haredi world himself. He left it as a young man, and after an illustrious career as a best-selling author, journalist, dramatist, and living in New York and Germany, he returned to Israel for nearly a year in the insular enclaves, and he documented his travails in his recently released book, Careful Beauties Ahead. Today's video is brought to you with the support of Wonderland SM, a wonderful Judaica art store that sells all sorts of gorgeous Jewish-themed art online, like this one that's adoring our living room, which is quite lovely. As a viewer of my channel, you get a special discount. You get 10% off if you purchase something on their website. Use coupon code FRIDA10. I'll make sure to do Frida with the I before the E. A lot of people misspell my name, the E first. Welcome, Tuvia, and thank you for doing this.
Welcome. Thank you, Frida, for having me.
I really enjoyed your book. It was so different from anything else I have ever read on this world. I want to start by asking you to share with us maybe your background, where you grew up, where you come from.
Okay, I come from, my original name of the family is Tenenbaum. This is the way it was in Poland. My
Like
family
a tree.
stemmed, like the, like the Christmas tree or Tenenbaum. That's the way it was to be. I come from my father's side, from the Radziner Rebbe, and from Radzin, and which basically nothing was left of them. And for my mother's side, Romania, her father was a rabbi over there. I come from rabbis. And the reason why my name is spelled Tenenbom and not Tenenbaum, the way it should have been, is because when I was about to leave Israel, to come to the United States to go to university, because I felt like I couldn't go to university in Israel because of my Haredi parents, they asked me in the Interior Ministry to write my name in Belaz, in English, and I didn't know English. So how do you write Tenenbom if you don't know how to write English? So there was a drink company called Tempo. So it starts Tenenbom and Tempo starts the same. So you put like this, a line above, a line in the middle goes down, and then a line, and then three lines on the side. And then how do you write N, and then the noon sound? Oh, there is Sony. Okay, so the third letter of the Sony goes like this, which is N. Basically, that's how I got to very phonetic Tenenbom. And that stuck with me because that's my passport. Anyway, that's the world I come from. I come from the Haredi world. My father was a Rosh Yeshiva in Israel. I lived in Bnei Brak, in Rehov Rashbam, which at that time, Rashbam Street, which at that time was called Kriyat Vatican, the Vatican basically, even in Bnei Brak, the Haredi, because that's where all the Rabbonim, all the poskim, and this time the Litvische poskim, I mean, on my left was the Stipler, and on my right was Chaim Kanievsky and Gdali Nader. In front of me was Yankev Yisrael Alter, the current Geri Rebbe. Akitzer, the ganze Mishpuche, and opposite the house, across the street, was Lederman, the shul, which is a kind of 770 for the Litvish world, this shul, Chazonishnik shul. And then I moved to Mea Shearim, Beis Israel, in Yerushalayim. I studied in Beis Talmud. And basically, I finished the yeshiva very, very fast. And I moved from there. I didn't agree with my rabbis. I had some arguments. But I moved to the Haredi world. I went to Merkaz Arab, to Rabbi Tzvi the cook. And from there I went to Asder. I studied in Ma'alot and in Yeshivat HaKotel. I served in the Israeli army as a tank driver. the first thing your servant rode in his life was not a bicycle or a car. It was a tank. That's where I learned
Wow.
driving, you know. So
Wow.
it's still, you can see me drive like a tankist, not like a normal driver. So
What
that's
does
where
that
I learned my
mean?
driving. I control the street, you know. I feel like I have it's like the old Hiram thing, the old Plada over there. This is me. I mean, it's like this belongs to me. Nobody is around, you know. I drove on mountains. Anyway, so yes, so basically that's what it is. I learned in yeshivas, if you come from the Haredi world. Cheder I learned in Tashbar, and yeshivas I learned in Israel, in Petach Tikva. And I skipped 5 grades, so I finished the yeshiva gdoila very, very fast, just after my bar mitzvah. And so, unlike many of the people who left, I never said anything against the Haredi world from the perspective of how they treated me. Nobody abused me. Nobody treated me badly. Everybody treated me very nicely. Not only they skipped me grades, they also everyone wanted me to be the chosen of his daughter. I'll never forget the shidduchim I got in those days. You know, I came to a meeting, to a date, you know, where they mizukt, and the girl had like a necklace with big, big diamonds, real diamonds. It was like they treated me very nicely, but I left because I didn't agree with them. And then I
How
came to
old
the
were
United
you?
States.
How old were
20
you when you
plus,
left?
20 plus, 20, 22, 23, something like that when I left already. I came to the United States and I went to university here. I majored in mathematics. I didn't know the multiplication table, so mathematics was a challenge. So I learned mathematics. I majored in mathematics and computer science because I never in my life touched a computer before. And then I learned English literature.
I have a
And then,
question.
yeah.
A lot of people who leave the community, a part of why they're so upset is because of things like what you were just saying about not knowing the multiplication table, about not knowing things that is popular knowledge. Did you not share that anger?
Look, I came to America. I hardly knew English. I knew no mathematics. I went to school. I registered. I got myself into college. And the first class, when it was like calculus 101, of course I didn't know. And the teacher was writing over there on the blackboard, you know, f of x and f of h. I didn't know anything about coordinates. I didn't know anything about derivatives. All I saw is the train going from Haifa to Tel Aviv. It looked to me like, not that I knew geography, but it looked like, looks like the train going from Haifa to Tel Aviv. And I learned and I studied from zero. And I ended the first semester in calculus. I ended it A+, which means you can do it. I never, you know, it's like saying they don't teach you the basics. I mean, look at me, I'm not Haredi. I'm not even religious. But I'm a Jew. I grew up in there, and I respect where I grew up in. And I can tell you this, I mean, it's like, okay, it's not like the Haredi world don't study anything. They study. They know Rashbo, they know Ritvo, they know Rambam, they know Ramban, they know the ganze Meises. If you're a Satmarer, you also know Yoel Moshe. You know, if you're a Chazonishnik, you know Kovetz Sikos Chazonish, and you know, and if you're one of the Lomdim of the Lamdonim in the Litvish world, you know Shari Yosef, Rab Shimon Shkop, you know how to make a knetch from everything. And what do the others know? The ones outside, this is a whole body of Jewish literature, of books, for thousands of years. What do they know? The ones who go to normal schools. They know what Rashbo is, they know what Ritvo is, they know Shari Yosef is, they know what a knetch is. They don't know. They study other things. But it's not like they don't study. They deny their children, the Haredi world denies their children, you know, studies. No, they study. Of course they study. There are teachers, there are schools, there are everything. Not everybody is a London, of course, but show me in the university.
Yeah.
I went to university. I spent 15 years in American universities. Some very good ones. I can tell you that 99% of the students going to universities are Drea cops. They don't know anything. They are just repeating everything like idiots, like computers, you know, like memory chips. They know nothing. They weiß nicht gar nicht von der Chais. So it's not like, yeah, of course, not everybody is a Lambden, but not everybody is a Lambden is a scholar in the universities. I mean, even if you can get a PhD when you are a total idiot. I mean, it's not like only in the rabbinische Welt, in the Haredi Welt, you can be a rabbi and weiß nicht gar nicht. The same thing is in everywhere in the world. So it's not that they deny. So they teach them what they have. But if you want, you can.
Tuvia, I'm just going to pause you for a minute and tell you that there are a lot of people who view my videos who are very familiar with everything Jewish. There are also a lot of people who don't know anything, so we have to try to make sure we talk in English.
Okay, we talk in English. It's a bisschen Yiddishkeit, some Jewish stuff, so they get the geschmack, they get the taste of it.
Okay.
So you have to know where you and I come from, I mean, if there's like,
That's true, but a little more translating.
Okay, a little more translating. Okay, kein Problem. No problem.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay, so I interrupted you. I want to ask you something. I want to ask you, because I left, and people ask me all the time if I regret
Where did you study? Where do you come from, Frida?
Well, I'm not the one who's being interviewed here.
But we have to know, the listeners have to know. The viewers have to know.
My viewers know about me, but I'm going to give you the very short answer, which is that I come from Kiryas Joel. I'm ex-Satmar. Do you know Kiryas Joel?
Of course. When I came to America, by the way, I lived in Williamsburg.
I saw something mentioned in your book.
They are the only ones, because I was illegal when I came here. Because I came as a student and I didn't know. I came with a tourist visa. What did I know? What do I know? I didn't know anything. So I came with a tourist visa, and then they stopped me. They say, "Well, you're going." So I said, "I'm going to university." They said, "No, you cannot do that." So they denied me the visa in the beginning. So I was illegal. I was in the university. I was illegal. I didn't have money. I came to the United States with $400 to my name. It's not a lot of money, And who gave me jobs? The employment agency of Satmar. They gave me jobs.
What did you do? What
they
were
sent
your
me to all the places. Oh, I was everything. I was a mashgiach, a mikveh mashgiach.
You were still from?
Yeah.
What does a mikveh mashgiach do? What's a mikveh mashgiach do?
But this is in a store. Mashgiach of the kelim.
Oh, where they dunk the water,
the
dishes in the water. Oh.
The dishes in the water. I was a mashgiach over there. And
an overseer.
They also, I was the chief mechanic of a company, of a factory in Williamsburg. I knew nothing about mechanics. I knew nothing about machines. But they gave me the job as a chief mechanic. For was nicht? Why not? And I was the chief mechanic. And I remember one night, it was like 1 o'clock. The clocks over there had like red things. They moved into the reds. I didn't know nothing. And all of a sudden, boom, everything blew up. I didn't know. So, but I had a lot of experience as an illegal employee and then I was a car driver, a taxi driver, car service. Yeah, I didn't know anything. If you came to my car and you wanted to go to JFK, you could be guaranteed you would never get on time because I didn't know the street, I didn't know the roads, I didn't know Kurdish, I hardly knew English, but you would have a lot of fun because I drove straight, nicht right, nicht left.
Where did you arrive?
A lot of fun.
Somewhere
in a village in Queens, I don't know where. And then I was a silversmith. I was doing all kinds of necklaces and all kinds of. I was soldering them, and they also gave me a job as a jewelry salesman. I experienced life from a totally different world, through and thanks to the employment agency of Satmar.
Well, it was actually through an employment agency? You went to an employment agency? Wow.
Yeah, I lived in Williamsburg. I went to shul, and I said,
which
I need
shul?
a job.
Satmar?
Satmar, of course. Which other shul will I go to?
Wow.
Papa, I'll go to. I am already in Williamsburg. Papa, they go to Satmar.
Of course.
So I know. So you grew up in Kiryas Joel, okay?
I grew up in Kiryas Joel, yes. I lived in Kiryas Joel for 25 years, and now I'm a tour guide in Williamsburg, and Williamsburg fascinates me So I have a question for you. How did you find Williamsburg when you were still a young man, right off the boat from Israel? How did you find Williamsburg to be different from where you came from?
I mean, it was not different because I came there from Mea Shearim. I mean, Mea Shearim is the same kind of sense of humor, kind of Galicianer Yiddish, But I found in general, the Haredi world in Israel and the Haredi world in the United States very, very different.
Yeah.
It's totally different. The Haredi world in Israel, they are really more Haredi.
What does
They
that
are more
mean?
kind of believers. They are more believers. Here you can find in the Haredi world in America, you can find people who believe in Gurnisht, not even in God. But they are still dressed in the ganze Streimel and the Spodek and the Kschmatzke and the Patzke. It's a business. You come from there, you have to be there. Some people say to me, what do you want me to leave the world, to leave Williamsburg and go where? To leave the Haredi world and go where? I'm married, I'm children, and what do I have make a lot of money in real estate, but all my contact is the Haredi world. What do you want me to do? To go to New Jersey and be secular, and then what am I going to do? So,
but there were also a lot of truly believing people.
Of course, no question about it. There are a lot of truly believers. But in Israel also they have more connection with the rest of the Jewish world. The other people exist. It's more Amesdika. That's what I found.
I hear what you're saying. It's an interesting. It's an interesting thought. When I'm in Williamsburg, I can tell when I see someone from Israel. It's a surreal look. There's a kind of a look. I definitely feel like Israelis are different, but there's also something to the Mea Shearim digga, the people from Mea Shearim, which is
of course, Mea Shearim is a totally different one. Yeah, but in general, I mean, you are a mother, a young mother. It's an off day. There's no school. Where do you take your children in Eretz Yisrael? You take the tube. You go travel somewhere. Take 2 days off or 1 day off. In Israel, you go to Miron. I mean, you go to a cave. I don't know what you're doing. I mean, it's like you go to some grave of some rabbi, some tomb of a rabbi. Here, what do you go with your children? You go to Disney. I mean, it's like, you go to a museum. So the whole education is different. And in Israel, everybody is a Jew. So it's totally different already by the fact that everybody is a Jew, and here you are not. Here you are unique, you are different, you are a minority. So all these kind of difference creates a totally different mentality of faith and beliefs, So I found that the Haredi in Israel more believers than the Haredim here. Here it's more connected with money. It's more connected with money. This is what I found.
We can make generalizations, of course, but I think there's definitely a distinct difference between the Israeli Hasidic community and the New York
these are the
one.
people I found. I didn't make an in-depth research about the Haredi world here. I lived with the Haredi world here. I lived in Williamsburg. In Williamsburg, of course, is not a barometer for all the Haredi world, but it was different, here than in Eretz Yisrael. In Eretz Yisrael, I found them a little bit more Haredish, and more of the sense we are part of the Jewish world, if we agree with it or not. We are part of the ganze machine, of the whole machine called Judaism. Here it's like you are part. If you are a Pope, you are a Pope. If you are a Satmar, you are a Satmar. You are surrounded by non-Jews. So I'm not making a generalization, but I'm saying that's more or less. It's of course not hermetic. There are people who are religious, like God knows what in New York, and there are people who are not religious in Jerusalem. But I'm saying in general, that's what my feelings are.
I hear you. At which point
so
did you stop?
You left the Satmar world.
I left the Satmar world. Yes.
Okay.
Me and you are two Jews on a journey.
Yeah. But it was nice, no?
It was nice and also not so nice.
Would you change your... Of course, we left.
Yeah.
But would you change your past? No.
No, I would not. I would not.
That's my point. I'm happy I go up there, and not in some, Bnei Jeshurun on the Upper West Side.
I like Bnei Jeshurun. It's a really...
But, it's like, for me, it's like, I sit there and I left like, I don't know what, but because for me, it's not my Jewishness. I don't see anything Jewish there. For me, it's more New Age-ish,
Yeah. Well, Bnei Jeshurun is not as New Age-ish as some other shuls.
Of course, there are some other shul
Yeah,
halal. It's like,
yeah.
I went one time in New Jersey. In New Jersey, I went to a shul, a reform shul, and there was a bar mitzvah. And the family asked the rabbi that they read the Torah from the Sefer Torah from the scroll, not from, and to read it in Hebrew. And a rabbi of a shul, he didn't have a choice, so he opened it, took the Sefer Torah, put it on the bima, and he opened, but he didn't know how to read Hebrew. So what did he do? And nobody knew except for me is that he was just bajaba.
Making
He was
stuff
not
up.
reading one word. Yeah, making stuff up. So,
Did you laugh?
of course, I laughed, but it was I should have cried.
That's the question.
So it's a different world.
I think about this a lot because I come from, like you, Holocaust survivors, who, at least this is the case for my lineage. The survivors understood that survival and resilience of the Jewish people meant preserving this way of life at all costs, and that if you don't go at all costs, you lose everything. And I think about this all the time. Do you think that there is merit?
Look, there is merit, and at the same time, it's being Haredi is not just, follow everything in the Shulchan Aruch or in the Jewish law or whatever it is. Because you have to remember, Haredi is a new phenomenon. It did not exist like 200 years before or something like that, and 300 years before. It did not exist. I mean, Baal Shem Tov is the beginning of the Hasidic movement, for example, that in the 1800s. The whole yeshiva world, started from Volozhin, I mean, it didn't exist before. There was no yeshiva. There are some people who walk during the day, and at night, whenever they found time, they sat in the shul to study, and there are very, very few of them. There were no yeshivas. Didn't exist. No yeshivas, no Haredim. And before that, I mean, in the Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses the lawgiver, did not wear a yarmulke on his head. Did not have a kippah on his head. It's like there is a development. There's a lot of streimel. I love the streimel, but what is the streimel? It's a few hundred years old. It's not a real thing. It's not real Jewish clothes. It's like they say Jewish clothes. It's not really Jewish clothes. So, did we survive all these thousands of years without the streimel? Yes. Did we survive without speaking Yiddish? Yes. Did we survive without wearing a yarmulke also? Yes. So it's not like we needed to survive to be Haredi. But what is the options you have now in today's world? You're a Reform Jew. If you're a Reform Jew, as far as I can see it, it's oich-and-vei. It's not Judaism. It's New Age, it's whatever it is you want to call it, or Old Age, whatever it is. But it's not, there's nothing. There is nothing all done. You go to the biggest shuls, biggest synagogue, biggest temples in New York, 500 seats, 600 seats, and how many people come for Friday night or for Saturday morning to pray? 5 people in a wheelchair, pushed by young people who are minority walkers. That's what it is. Go to a temple and see what it is. Unless there is a bar mitzvah or a funeral, who is coming? So, of course, they serve something amazing. But this is because this is the reality today. And what the Haredim bring, especially the Hasidim, I wouldn't say that about the Litvakis, the Haredim bring is a huge sense of humor. The Jewish sense of humor, we talk Jewish humor, doesn't exist outside of that world.
Interesting.
It's very beautiful that the state of Israel was created. A lot of good things came out of it. But one thing was bad. They killed Jewish humor. Israeli society is not funny.
Really?
It's not funny. No, they are not funny people. They are not funny people. How many times you watched Bibi or Gantz or whoever it is, and you said, wow, what a sense of humor.
Do you think
Yair Lapid or whoever, it's like a sense of humor. It's like there's nothing, no sense of humor. You listen to them, everything they talk. It's beautiful, it's amazing, the two sides, the sense of humor, the Mafdalnikes or Leshavar, the Tzionim Datiyim, the religious Zionists. Are they funny? You ever listen to them talk? They are not funny. But come to Mea Shearim or places like this, like I was there, and I couldn't stop laughing from sunset to sunrise. I mean, it's like they made me laugh all the time.
How
They have
so?
an amazing sense of humor, because they have sense of humor. They are
What
funny.
kind of humor?
They are funny.
Explain it.
They never say anything. I mean, it's like they never answer anything normal. For example, from the first day when I just came, I was in Germany. I was in Berlin, and in Berlin I go to a restaurant, and many of them don't, or some of them at least at that time, did not accept credit card, only cash. So I was in a Mea Shearim. I was in a Dargula. I had breakfast over there, Rehov Malchei Israel. And after I ate, I said, "Do you accept credit card?" And the guy looks at me and he says, "It depends." I said, "Depends on what?" "If it goes through, we accept it. If it doesn't go through, we don't accept it." They can't answer one thing normally. They can't answer something straight. Everything is a knetchayin, a knetchayin, a pig, and you just stand there and laugh, and you can't stop laughing all the time.
One of the things
and that's what it is. Yeah.
One of the things that I really loved about your book was the way you talk about the Yiddish language. You didn't grow up speaking Yiddish? A bissel?
I did not grow up, even though nicht nur ein bisschen. When I came even though my family is the origin is Hasidic, the Rebbe, the ganze Sach. My father, when he was young, became enchanted by the Chazon Ish, and he became his Talmid Muvak. I mean, it's like he was his real Talmid, his real student, and he was with him every day. So he became a Chazon Ishnik, as you say, became Litvak. And he sent us to Litvish yeshivas, to Lithuanian, so to speak, non-Hasidic, Haredi, non-Hasidic. And so we lived in Bnei Brak, in Rehov Rashba.
And in Dinheim, at home, what did you speak at home?
Nobody, Hebrew. Nobody talked Yiddish. Nobody spoke Yiddish. Sometimes, rarely, my parents talked to each other in Yiddish. But so I understood, but nobody talked to me in Yiddish. Before I went this time, I mean, I hardly spoke Yiddish. But things happened, And when I came to the United States first, when I was in New York, and as I told you, I was in Williamsburg, everybody spoke Yiddish. So it rubbed off on me, the Hasidish, the Satmar Yiddish, Then I moved after I got married, and my wife, Izzy, she's from Germany. And in order to get my permanent green card, not a temporary green card, I had to study German. So I studied German. And so I combined, when I went to Mea Shearim to write a book, I combined the Yiddish from Williamsburg plus the German from Hamburg, and I started speaking Yiddish 12 hours a day. And for them, they heard my Yiddish, which is nothing. It's not German, it's not this, it's a combination. They said, this is not Amnestic Yiddish, this is the real true Yiddish. This is a Rabbonische Yiddish. It is the Yiddish of the rabbis. That's what they decided.
Ja? Can I hear?
Mir hat doch die ganze Zeit treffen, doch, mir hat doch, dann sagen sie, sie gehen schleim mit mir auf ihm und, wir bin ja ein bisschen Migdosh und alles, so ein Sluch.
Oh mein.
Da scheine mir, das alles, wo mir erst mir Rabo. Verstehst du?
Verstehe. Very good.
Ja, verstehe. Baruch Hashem, Yom. Ja, was tun ich schon. Viele haben zurück, alles zusammen. Wir machen das über Yiddish, das die ganze Woche. Und sie dreht den Kopf, und mir geht das so, mir geht da dort, und mir geht da, und dort bin ich.
Your Yiddish is not quite on the level of the New Jersey Rebbe, but sometimes you got to take some liberties.
It's not a New Jersey Rebbe. It's like
the genuine stuff.
Okay, genuine. But
so tell me how you describe this Yiddish. What was your impression of Yiddish?
It's a very funny language. I mean, it's like every language has its nuances. Hebrew has its nuances. English has nuances. I mean, and you look at the British. Depends which British. If you're London or from this or wherever you are, Manchester. Every language has nuances. This language has a lot of nuances. Alles is nuances. Everything is nuances. It's not. And it's a very funny language by itself. For example, you want to say somebody, and it's combining German and Hebrew and many other languages. For example, you want to say somebody is smart. You say,
is a
chuchen. You want to say somebody is stupid.
Ezachem.
Oh, is there a chuchem, which means a total idiot. You know, you want to say somebody, may his name be erased. Imach shmoinik, okay? But you say, that you know, this gebitzchok, yeah, the Imach shmoinik gebitzchok. That means the smart, genius gebitzchok. You use the word, may your name be erased, but you didn't mean that. You know, it's like, you drive with a car with them in Mea Shearim, and the traffic light is red, and say, oh, you're showing marurim. You know, it's like, Kerr Stevens. I was like, what is this? Why are showing marurim? Aririm, showing marurim. Who's guide to us? Who's guide in the world? Who's guide to us? This is the way it happens. And for example, when I asked, at some point I asked, when I was in Mea Shearim, I lived there, I said, why do you accept me? How come you accept me so well? It's not only they didn't fight me, they invited my wife and I, they invited us to you know, Leil Shabbos, to Friday nights dinners, to Shabbat morning, or whatever, to the simchas, to the weddings, whatever, bar mitzvahs, whatever. They treated us like family. I said, why do you treat me like this? And the guy answered me, that I asked him, he said, you know, when you speak to us and you talk to us in Yiddish, it's not you talking to us. It's your grandpa talking to our grandpas.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like, you know, goosebumps.
Yeah.
They let me know you are the family.
Yeah.
We are one family, no matter that you don't believe, no matter what you are. And according to the rules, Shanau Piresh Koshem Mikulam, Shanau Piresh Koshem Mikulam. It means somebody who was religious, who was Haredi, and left, is the worst of all. You're not supposed to talk to him. You're not supposed to be in Daladamas, you know, in close to him. And here they treated me like a brother.
A brother. Yeah.
And what is it?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
I want to
I spoke to them the language, yeah.
I want to know what happened before you went back. Like, what's been your life like before you went back? Did you, like, lose contact with family when you went on such a different path of all places in Germany?
Look, I didn't lose contact with family. I mean, it's like, put it this way. After I left, you know, with my family, I kept in touch, but the rest of the community, they totally ignored me, like I don't exist. When my books came out in Hebrew and they became #1 bestseller, you know, all of a sudden, everybody, Reb Tuvia! You remember, אתה זוכר אותי, Reb Tuvia. Anyway, everybody, it's like became my friends and everybody, okay, it's a bestseller, #1 bestseller, showing, okay, now we are kosher.
Did they read it?
That what shocked me when I came to Mea Shearim, Mea Shearim, anyway, you can call it. Mea Shearim, yeah. When I came first to Mea Shearim, I thought, how am I going to, I was asking myself, how am I going to represent myself? You know, because usually I represent myself as a German journalist. I am a German journalist, actually. I come from Germany also, so I'm a German journalist. I write for German media. My publisher is German. So then I called myself usually Toby or Tobias or something like that. And I said, okay, before I decide, let me go on the street. I went to the shuk, to the market, you know, to the kasbah, the art of Mea Shearim. And I walked. I'm not even 24 hours in Mea Shearim, in Israel. And the first 30 minutes, 5 different people approached me. Reb Tuvia, was hier zich? Reb Tuvia, how are you doing? Reb Tuvia, schreibst du ein bisschen? Are you, übrigens, are you writing a book about us? And Reb Tuvia, I want to tell you, deine Bichale Tfuises Hayehudi, catch the Jew. And they quote me lines from the book. They tell me what page it is and what line it is. And I'm just like, I can't believe you are not supposed to read these books. That's what I remember from my days. But I guess it changed. The Haredi world, even in Mea Shearim, changed. They read my books. And it's not the point that they read my books. They read books that are not religious, that are political, that are whatever it is. They read totally different books. So it was like amazing.
Wow. Do you get the same reception, let's say, in Tel Aviv or in other parts of Israel where people recognize you and treat you like a brother?
Yeah, I mean, but it's different. Like in Yerushalayim, you know, I can't walk on the street without people saying selfie, schmelfie. In Tel Aviv, it's different. They don't approach you, but if you ask, excuse me, do you know how do I get from here to רחוב גורדון Street. Tuvia, שמע. It's like, Tuvia, they don't approach you like directly. They are more boom, but I'm standing on Yarkon Street and I see a bunch of police people, it's like I say, how do I get to this? Shalom, Tuvia, קודם כל שלום. First of all, Tuvia, shalom.
Wow.
It's like amazing. I mean, it's like, because the books are very popular in Israel. They are doing very well. I mean, even this book, my wife asked me to show it to you, to put it like this, as I would just, in case you don't see it, okay. But this, you see it the opposite. Okay.
No,
But
I think I see it the right way. I see it the right way.
You see it in the right way? You see it in the right way?
What's your wife's name?
And this is Hebrew. My wife's name is Izzy.
Izzy.
And she gave me the whole bunch of the books about Sigma. So the like the ganze Bücher.
Wow.
Look, she gave me the
Hi,
whole
Izzy.
books. Show it to Frida. And she's going to be more books. There are so many books.
Hey, in Czech, we have to have the Czech.
This is the same book in Czech.
Wow, there's a Czech version.
In the Czech language.
That's a big
This is in
deal.
Romanian.
This is in Romanian, the same book.
So you have
In the
translators.
Romanian language.
Ah,
Yeah. And this is in German.
This is nice.
very nice. I like the cartoon version. Did you in the
Really?
book?
This came
Yeah.
out just now.
Mazel
Yeah.
tov. In the book you
Thank you very much.
In the book you give your head measurements in case someone wants to buy you a shtreimel. Has it happened yet?
Yes.
You've
Not
gotten a
yet,
shtreimel?
but-
Not yet.
No, but you have to remember the book in English just came out.
Ah,
I mean,
there's still hope.
just a few days ago. So there's still hope somebody in Kiryas Yoel or somewhere in Muncie or ich weiß nicht wo, in Williamsburg. Hopefully somebody will buy me.
I'm sure it'll happen. Yeah, you are wearing a shtreimel at some point, right? Someone gave you a second hand.
I got it. No, I was like, no, it's not second hand. This is a shtreimel that I got from. I went to a shtreimelmacher to explain to me the whole shtreimel thing, And this is one of the shtreimels that he made. He made it for one of the rabbis, and he let me wear it to try it on. He said, let's see if it fits you.
It fits.
And he put it what I had, and it fits, right? $6,000 and $6,000 it could be mine.
Wow.
That's cheap shtreimel.
$6,000.
That's cheap.
Was it 6,000 NIS or dollars, American dollars?
Dollars, the American dollars. The home of the free, the land of the brave.
Wow.
American dollars.
Did you cough it up?
Yeah. Not yet.
Not yet. So
I
you
have
still
to
don't
make
have a
I have to make I have to make a campaign.
We'll hope that you sell enough books you can afford a shtreimel.
Exactly.
Of all the charity zwecken of Mea Shearim,
Yeah.
a shtreimel for Tuvia is definitely trumps all the urgent causes.
Exactly.
Ach, Mrs. Kallops.
Everything else.
Everything else is nonsense.
Somebody else will give,
Yeah.
There's somebody else, but shtreimel for me.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's harder to compel
Yeah.
people to give for a shtreimel, which makes it more urgent.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
put the word out.
But the shtreimel, at least you see it. The shtreimel, at least you see it. So
You know-
I gave you the shtreimel.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. I have a question actually about Izzy. You went to amazing places in your book? You spoke to big rabbis. You went into the shul. Where was your wife in all of this? Was she able to go into these spaces?
Of course. I mean, you see all the pictures. She took the pictures.
So did she, let's say, go? You went to the Tol
As it says
Sahadi?
in the beginning, in the picture, Tuvia Tenenbom. So obviously, if you took the pictures, she was there. So she was there taking the pictures. Yes. And we also had a videographer, by the way, who took videos. And we have a movie, a documentary based on this, called God Speaks Yiddish. And it's already received in Best Documentary in Berlin Indie Film Festival this year. It's going to be showing in New York. It's going to be showing in New York on June 5th at the Triad Theater on 72nd Street. It has been showing in a film festival in Vienna. And it's going to be shown now also in next month in film festival in Berlin and in Hamburg.
I'm planning to come to the New York showing. I wonder if there are going to be Hasidim there. Do you get Hasidim in your
I
audience?
don't know. Yes, I mean sometimes, but I don't know if for this one, because the distribution, the PR for this was very limited, because the place is small, and we didn't want to be too much, because if too many people, you're not going to be able to see it. So the people who got emails about this, it's not been distributed all over, like usually for shows. We did it much more limited, because we already have almost a full house, and we didn't want to be too much.
Got it. Interesting. Well, I'm looking forward to it. In general, how are Hasidim responding to your book?
Put it this way, my next door neighbor, a Boyaner Chassid, came to me after the book came out, and wo sucht er? Jeder Wort a pearl. Every word a pearl.
That's what he said. He loved it.
Yeah.
The book is full of, for lack of a better word, hereticism. You're pointing out people's hypocrisies, their faith in things that don't add up. An example that I think is very, very illustrative is that you talk about not studying the Bible, and how the attitude towards studying the Bible is that whoever studies the Bible is potentially, I don't know the exact expressions, like there's problems with people who study directly the Torah, like I don't know about the 5 books of Moses, but the other texts.
Yeah.
So these things are challenging, as I see it, views on faith that people don't want to really think about or don't want to talk about. You constantly push them to explain their faith, and oftentimes people come up with, I don't know. Is that not...
you have to remember, You
Yeah.
have to remember, first of all, this book is not a propaganda book. It's not somebody hired me there to write a propaganda book about the Haredi world. That said, from the history of Haredi Judaism, as far as I can tell, a book written about them from outside of the Haredi world, this is probably the most positive about them, ever written about the Haredi world from somebody not inside the Haredi world. As far as I can tell. And even the how do you call it, the Süddeutsche Zeitung, which is very left, very amazingly strong, I mean, it's like with millions of readers, they said in their review of the books, they said, next time you go to Yerushalayim in Mea Shearim, you'll see these people in totally different eyes. It's showing a community. Now, of course, I'm also critical of the community. Otherwise, I would be talking to you with a streimel on my head, already, with white shirts and a große Berdele, But the point here is, in the book, since you read it, when I criticize the Haredim of many things they are doing, like they don't believe they follow the Rebbe or whatever, I also point out that in the outside world, it's not any better. So you have people who follow Chaim Kanievsky or whoever it is, this Rebbe or that Rebbe, without even knowing what they are doing. And in the outside world, in the educated, university finished, people, graduates, whatever it is, what are they doing? They go demonstrating, they go following Greta Thunberg, a little girl who is a little bit demented, to the Rebbe Shterelfen, as far as I can tell. She has no degree in climate change. She has no degree in anything, and they treat her like she knows everything, like she's the biggest professor of the world, like she's the biggest researcher of the world. We do that. It's a human tendency. So you have people who follow a 94-year-old Rebbe, and you have people who follow an 18-year-old girl. And both sides are people who are supposed to be smarter than this, study for themselves and not follow anybody. But that happens in every community. I mean, you have the people, the students today in the streets of New York, even in Mexico, or wherever you want, and they scream from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. They don't even know what rivers, they don't even know what sea. They don't know where Palestine was on the map. So I point out in the book that while I'm critical of the Hasidim who follow the Rebbes in blindly, and the Rebbes obviously don't know much more than they, it's a human tendency. It's not only the Haredim. And you have to remember, the Haredi world is part of the Haredi world is a result not of the Bible, but it's more a result of where the Jews lived for centuries. They lived in Catholic countries. They live in Christian countries, mostly at the time Catholic countries, and they follow the dogma of those countries. I mean, till Luther came to the Christian world, the Christian people could not read the Bible because it was written in Latin, so they followed the Bible without even knowing one verse in it. And if they said something during prayer or during service in Italian, they didn't even know, or in Latin, they didn't even know what you're saying because this is Latin. They didn't know Latin. So the Haredi world took a lot. I mean, you go today, I was in Moldova, where my mother's side I came from. It used to be in Marculest. That was my grandfather was the rabbi of Marculest. At the time, it was a town, a Jewish town. Now there is not one Jew in there, not one Jew. And you see the women over there, the Romanian Moldova, they look like Haredi. They have a tichel. They cover bizdu, up to here, book like this. They cover
After the Alamo.
They dress exactly like you would walk in Mea Shearim or wherever it is on Kiryas Ya'ar. You'll see women dressed in their age, which is they're older a little bit. They're dressed the same thing. No difference. So a lot of the things that we got in the Haredi world, it's not Torah Moshe Israel. It's not coming from Judaism. But it became part of Judaism because the Jews lived over there. The same way that the Christian learned a lot of things from us, we learned a lot of things from them. That's the reality. So it's okay to criticize. You know what? The Haredim in Israel, this is what I'm saying. The Haredim in Israel, they love this book, even in the critical part. They are the first one to make it, usually on Kinai Nure, as they say. My books in Israel are bestsellers. But usually it takes 2-3 weeks for a book to become a bestseller. With this book, it just came out, just came to the store, it became a bestseller. Who made it a bestseller? The Haredi. They went like crazy to buy these books. And to this day, I mean, there are so many Haredim, I walk on the street, they quote me from the book. They love the book. Of course, there are people who are against it. Usually the people who are against it, people who didn't read the books. It's like usually that's the way it happens. People who are like, Tuvia, how could you write something? There are people who didn't read the books. People who read the books, usually they are, because by the end of the day, it's, the criticism, it's a humanizing point. It shows the Haredim as people. And people are not perfect, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And people who wanted me to write a book that's perfect about the Haredi means that these people think that the Haredi Jews are not humans. Human people are fallible. We are not perfect. None of us. Frida, I don't know about you. It's the first time I meet you, but I can talk to you about myself. I am not perfect. I wish to be, but I am not. There is no perfect person in the world. So is there criticism? Of course there is criticism. But by the end of the day, when you finish reading a book, what do you think about the Haredim? You see them as human, not the way you expected to see them. You see them as funny, and you see how they care for each other. And that you cannot take away from them. The ways they care for each other as a community, the ways they love each other, the ways they cared for my wife and me. Even though I'm a Chiloni.
But you wore a yarmulke. Did they know that you're not religious?
Of course they know that. They read my books. They could tell me they could quote my books. So they know which restaurants I go to. The restaurants I go to in the other books you can see are not kosher lemehadrin. For this book, of course, all the restaurants are kosher. As I can say, it's like they see what they it's like in the book about Israel and Palestine. The Israelis and Palestinians. They see I'm eating in Palestinian restaurants. Or the book about Britain. They see I'm eating in British restaurants and not kosher British restaurants. They know. They are not idiots. These are people who, from day one, from age 3, they already go to school and they study. בראשיסינו נברות בשפן אלוקים God אס השמיים דרגים ובעשו אורץ. Exactly. So they are not idiots. They know. And it's okay with them.
One thing you skewer a lot in the book is the Israeli media. What's going on with the Israeli media and Haredim?
They hate them with passion.
Why?
They cannot stand them. This is a fight between Jewish groups, the non-Jewish group, the non-Haredi and the Haredi from before the the establishment of the states. This goes from the time of, Sonnenfeld, Rav Sonnenfeld from Yerushalayim, so from the time immemorial, as they say, before establishment of the state. This is not new. This is old, and then some people, made it more, like the Satmar Rebbe, the Satmar Rebbe, Vayoel Moshe, Yoel Tettelman, he should have been pro-the Zionists because they saved his life from Auschwitz,
the Holocaust, yeah.
From the Holocaust. They saved his life from the Holocaust, by the Kastner train, that left Hungary and basically went to freedom before the end of the war too. And he should be thankful to them. But sometimes, and it's a human tendency, if somebody did so much for you, so much good for you, you respond with hatred. You can see it in the black community, Afro-American, or whatever you say in America. You can see, American Jews have traditionally been siding with African Americans here, or the black crowds and the black people here, marching with them, marching Martin Luther King, fighting for them, giving tons of money for black causes. It's like Apollo Theater, who is the biggest funder of Apollo Theater along the years, and black culture here. It's Jews, American Jews. And what did they get in return? They're going marching on the street against Israel. So, or being, and the anti-Semitism in the black community is much higher than in the white community. Why? It's the same thing. You get something too much from somebody, and you hate it.
How do you measure that it's higher?
How I measure it? You can see that there is no reason for the Satmar Rebbe to dedicate his life against the Zionists. What if the Zionists do to you? They saved your life.
I asked how you measured that there's higher anti-Semitism in the black community than in the white.
That's it's not me measuring. I'm not a measurer. But this is, it from all time. There have been a lot of articles about it. There's been Professor Gates, remember Louis Gates? We know what is like 20, 25 years ago, whatever it is, what this famous opinion article in the New York Times, talking just about that, the high rate of anti-Semitism in the black communities and in the white community. This has been known, it's been discussed, and there is research being made about it, and I'll refer you to the article by Professor Gates. In no other paper, and he's black, of course, and in other papers in the New York Times. This is one of the iconic articles already about this issue. That's what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. It's like this. And my explanation for it, because it makes no sense. They should not hate the Jews more than anybody else. In the hardest time of the black community in America, who stood by their sides? Who stood by their sides? Guess what? The Jews, American Jews. And American Jewish rabbis. They went together. They marched with Martin Luther King. I'm not talking about that, but it's a tradition. You go to a Jewish foundation in America. You see the percentage, how much they give to Jewish causes? Not much. They give much more to black causes. That's the reality. Just go to Foundation Center or go and do it on Google and see the donations and contribution of American Jewish foundations to Jewish versus black causes. So more the black causes. And the blacks hate the Jews. Why? It makes no sense. But my explanation, I can't prove it. It's a theory that I cannot prove. I'm not a social scientist. But my explanation is you got so much, and the responses. Like I remember, I helped somebody. I for example, I got them married, and in the hardest time before they decided to get married, I got involved till they got married, till everything. After I got married, he doesn't talk to me anymore. Garnished. So sometimes there's a human tendency. If I got too much from you, more than I deserve, and I can't ever give it back to you, I turn around and you become your enemy or your hater. That's the way I see it in the Satmar Rebbe. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, it's just a theory, because it makes no sense. Why so much hate? I'll give you one story. I was one time flying from New York to Israel. Next to me, on the row next to me, was a Satmar Chusit. And he talked to me about the worst place that he's flying. Yes, to go to Israel, now he's flying to Israel. Israel, it's Zionist and all Zionist. They destroy Yiddishkeit, they destroy everything, babu, 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 babu. It was like a big diatribe against Israel. Okay, sit already. I heard enough from you. Okay, Then we come back. A few hours later, 10 hours, 11 hours, whatever it is for the flight, we are landing in Lod, in Israel. And the guy gets up, and I get up, and he says to me, how long are you staying here? I said, maybe a month. He said, I wish I could stay a month. Due to my business, I cannot stay more than 1 week. I would love to stay longer. I'm so jealous of you. Oh, if I could, I would be in this world all my life in this country. What a beautiful country. Oh, he started crying that he's going to stay on. You gave me a speech 10 hours ago, so how worse the country is. You know what I'm saying? It's not when somebody says to you something else, and that's what I learned also being in the Haredi world. It's living with them. I mean, people write about the Haredi world, they come there for half an hour maximum, and they write a book about them. You cannot. You have to understand. You have to understand the nuances. You have to understand when somebody says to you something, what does it mean? Yes, I saw the graffiti, Zionism equal Auschwitz. But I also saw the people who have paint, yeah, okay. But I also saw the people who have, but I also saw the people who have the buckets of paint in their houses, in their homes. That when this thing comes up, they go and paint it over. Haredi.
So one person does the graffiti and 10 other people paint over it.
Yeah, exactly. And I saw the people who are doing the biggest demonstration, the most violent demonstration. I already know them by names. I lived with them. I already know. I know my neighbors. Every time a demonstration starts, I say, what the Chilul Hashem. Get them out of here. They're not even from the community. And I saw where they're coming from. Many of them Balei Tshuva, people who are returnees, Some of them, or a big part of them, are in Sephardi. How do I know? I met them. I know them. I know them by name.
There's like the zeal of the convert.
The zeal of the convert, exactly. You see what happens. You see the way the system works. So yes, it's different when you are there and you see it.
Do you think there is an interest in Haredi world? For as long as I have been doing my work, in general, people have hated the Haredi world largely, and they've liked to tell stories about its dark underbelly and all the things that are wrong. And I'm wondering if there's a starting of an interest in seeing the nice part because it's officially anti-Zionist. And there is a part of the anti-Zionist movement that is now looking at Haredi Jews with new eyes. Do you think that's happening?
First of all, the people who are like this Haredi, no, I don't see it. First of all, the people you see as anti-Zionist, the Hasidim or the Haredim, who are doing that, from the Turkot or something like that. Usually it's a very small group. And many times you see the same people, go to Iran, the same people who demonstrate in Washington, D.C., the same people who go to New York to demonstrate. It's the same group of people. It's like a bunch of people who get paid by some Michiganer, to do these things. This is their job. Their job is to go to Streimel, not even on Shabbos, to go to Streimel, on Wednesday morning, it's like not supposed to be at this time, to go to Streimel and a talis, in a Palestinian flag. They are paid for this. They are actors who are paid for this. There are Meshugoyim like this, but a very, very, very small part. There are Meshugoyim like this. I was in October 7th in Israel. I saw how they reacted. The most Haredim of the Haredim.
You were Mea Shearim when it happened.
The most Kitzoni of the Kitzoni, the most Kanai of the Kanai, the most...
Extreme of the extreme.
Extreme of the extreme. Extreme of the extreme. And I was there. When I told them what happened.
Because it was Simcha exactly, and you found that on your phone and they didn't know.
And I found out, it's like, but they did not have these things. So I told them what happened. And the first reaction was, and knowing that the people who died in the South are secular left, none is Shomer Shabbos. And what was the response? There's an Eden, we are all Jews. What Hamas is doing now is what the Nazis did to our grandparents. It's the same thing. This is what they said. And there's an Eden, we are all Jews. And on Motzei Chag and Motzei Shabbat, when they could use electronic devices, they went to the street with loudspeaker and they were shouting, Govinu Shebashamayim Rachem Aleinu, our Father in heaven, have mercy on us. And they called people to go to the shul and to daven for the people who are injured, for the people who are taken hostage. There are other people who say Zionists and I'm not helping Zionists and let them all die. This is like the Meshugoyim. But the normal people, what? We are all Jews. This is what the people said. I asked the Rebbe of Toldesan, it's in the book. I asked the Rebbe of Toldesan. Toldesan is one of the most distinctive, with the, the beautiful streimels and the beautiful cuffs and the beautiful, golds, And they are the Kanoim, also very, very Kanoim. And I asked him, by itself, the fact is, I don't know of anyone who gave interviews to a Rebbes. There's no interviews with Rebbes, you can see. And people told me, Haredi journalists told me, forget, you cannot give interviews there. Rebbes don't give interviews. But guess what? Rebbes do give interviews. And I interviewed them. And one of them is the Toldesan Rebbe. And I asked him, what would you do if a Tzioini, Chiloini, secular Zionist came to your show? What would you do? His answer was, Busrakasha, what kind of question is this? If he comes to fight me, what can I do? Was kann ich machen? But if he doesn't confront me, was Frage? What kind of question is this? Wir seien alle Hebel. We are all Jews. Of course we'll welcome him. This is the Rebbe of Toldesan.
He seemed especially to be a wonderful character. He comes off wonderful in the book.
Yeah. And he's wonderful. He's amazing. He's an amazing guy.
It's very heartwarming because there's so much division among Jews on both ends.
No question about it. There's a lot of division. It's the divisions that kills us, not only by the Haredim. There is division with the right and left and center. You see what happens in Israel. It's basically dividing the country. It's making them weak. And the country might not survive. Not because of the division from the outside, because of the division inside. And I have been writing about it and talking about it for ages. But what can you do? I can't do anything more than talking about it and writing about it, but it's set to watch. It's set to watch the society itself from the inside. And it's set to watch all this anti-Semitism around. I know about this anti-Semitism. I've written about it in all the books, but now they do it on the street. Not just when they talk to me, and they told me how much they hate the Jews. Now they in the street say it in public, which is different. So, and the Jews, they don't even know how to fight it. It's like there is no, you have so much demonstrations against Israel and against everything, and demonstrations are poor. There's an organization, American Jewish organization, they are funded to the tunes of billions of dollars, and nothing. And then you have a Shmekale Bekalo over there with a tic-tac, and he gets thousands of them to the streets. This is like, that's what it is.
Do you find that your work for so long, which both probes anti-Semitism and what I would call Jewish insecurities, kind of an insecurity that Jews have, and which makes them feel almost afraid to maybe stand up for anti-Semitism and Jewish causes, do you find that your work has moved the needle in any which way? Is that what drives you in your work mostly?
First of all, this is not what drives me. What drives me, I get an offer to write something, from my publisher or from my editor, and it sounds
You're
good.
like a Satmar Chusin. Got it.
Like a Satmar
It's all business.
Yes. No, it's not all business, of course, but it's like, when they come with an idea that I find interesting, they say, okay, I'll do it. But I make sure that I don't come up with ideas to do it, because then I would have an axe to grind. I want to make sure that they come really pure, innocent into a project, not because, I wanted to write about this because I have something to say about this. No, I have nothing to say. What I have to say is listen to people and then make a little judgment, at least as an observer. Okay, but I try to come from every place I go to, born again, kind of. I'm open mind. I don't care what I thought up to now. I'm gonna do this. It's like before I came to the Haredi world to write, I thought the book would be very anti-Haredi, would justify why I left them. It ended up to be very pro-Haredi. I didn't plan it. This is what the people brought me to do, and this is what I wrote. So, do I find it makes a difference? For the people who read it, I saw yes, because this is the way they communicate with me. This is what they say to me. I have seen the difference from people who read it. It's like the fact that a book like this is a Spiegel bestseller, which is like a New York Times bestseller in America, and it's so successful, And who are the people who buy it in Germany, for example, or in Czech Republic, on these places? They're not Jews. There are hardly Jews over there. The Jews in Germany are mostly Russians. They don't even read German. Who are the people who read it? Non-Jews. And the fact that the books are so popular in this country, yes. Does it make a difference? Yes. To the people who read it, it makes a difference. That's what people tell me, So, and I know, for example, there was a member of the Bundestag in Germany who really loved the book, and he made sure when he asked to give him enough books so he can distribute it to all members of the Bundestag, all members of the German Parliament, for example. And every member of the German Parliament had a book on his table. That's about Catch the Jew. Everyone in Israel, I know that every Knesset member at the time had a copy of the book. So does it make a difference? Yes. But I am not writing it in order to make a difference. This is not my job. I'm not an activist. This is not my job. I'm not an activist, I'm not a rabbi, I'm not a priest, I'm not an imam. I would like to be an imam, but I'm not.
What about a rabbi? At some points, it seemed in the book that you were starting to get an appetite for being a rabbi.
Yeah, it's not a schlechte job. It's not a bad job, but you have to, you cannot be a rabbi looking like me,
It's
to
the
start
look
with,
is
I have
too
to change
hard.
my glasses.
I see.
Just look at it. Yeah.
You can't give up on the glasses.
That's like it. I can give up on the glasses.
I hear you. One thing that you talk about in the book that I want to make sure to mention before we wrap up is you talk about how dirty the Hasidic streets are, which is something that I get asked about all the time, and I can't quite speak to it. So what was your experience with regards to how dirty the streets are?
The streets are dirty, but it's not only in the Haredi world the streets are dirty, but from there it's a little bit more dirty because you have more children. And the children are doing it. The children, you give the children something, a lollipop, and then he takes it and he throws the plastic and he throws it on the street, He finished the cake and he throws it, and you have so many children there, which is, on Kenainu, Baruch Hashem, as they say, Kein Irbu. But you're talking about the communities that have a lot of children. So, and that phenomena you can see also in other places. You can see it in traditional Muslim societies, If you have too many children, it's like a lot of children. Every family has like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 children, 10 children, 12 children, 13 children, 14 children, 15 children, They make a mess. And because they also live on the streets, you have to remember their streets is their streets.
Yeah.
It's the hood. It's the hood, as they call it here, It's the hood. It's like their living room. So of course it's going to be schmutzig. What can you do? It's schmutzig. And that's what it is. But
what's the story
yes,
you tell in the book of people, someone coming to visit, people are clean up the streets, and then is that like a legend people have about how they cleaned up the streets and whoever the visitor went away, they put the trash back out?
Yeah, this is just it's a story, It's like probably Baba Maise, but it's like the story is that one time a big donor, famous donor, came to visit the community. So before he came to visit the community, they cleaned the streets, and they took all the garbage and they put it in the house, and then he walked on the street, everything. And the moment he left, he took it back, the garbage, and they put it back on the street. It's like that's where it belongs. But it's probably Baba Maise, it's like people say, tell your story, but probably they are aware of this, of course. They are not aware of this. As one in Bnei Brak said to me, we are the most democratic. Look at this, how we are Democrats. We tell our children, or let our children do whatever they want. Bnei Brak is the most democratic city in the world,
Sure. That's funny.
Yeah.
I have a
But
final...
inside the homes, it's not schmutzig. It's like
it's
everyone,
beautiful.
almost everyone I went to, it's beautiful inside them. The schmutz can be in the streets, but not inside them.
Yeah, that's the case in Williamsburg also. There's, especially the old part, there's so much trash, but a part of it is because there's so many people living so much more condensed. They naturally make a lot more trash. So I have a final question before I'm going to let you go. I guess I'm asking you a question I get asked all the time. When you come back, do you regret leaving the Haredi world? since you see it in so many ways as a wonderful place?
Look, I have proven one thing. I can come back to it anytime. I have been in and out of the Haredi world now, since the book came out in Hebrew, for example. I've been out and back from the Haredi world many times. And I was just there, like a month ago, in Mea Shearim, I stayed there. Why not? So
There are hotels?
you can come back anytime. I mean, I'm staying there. There is one hotel there. It's a boutique hotel. It's called Tzfania Hotel. It's on Tzfania Street in Yecheskel, on the corner of Tzfania and Yecheskel. They have 18 rooms, and I've been there with my wife forever and ever. It's a beautiful place. We have a big terrace right on the street, so you can see everything. You can talk to the people who come in and out and give me their comments about the book, or distrust the book, or ask me, do you have a copy for free? You have schnorrers also. What do you think?
Of course. What do you do? Do you give it?
Yeah. Hey, usually yes.
Yes? Nice.
Yeah,
You
I'm
deserve
doing
this
it.
trial,
If you
Tuvia.
don't, thank you very much. If you don't have money, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I have it anyway, so I have a copy taken.
What does your wife wear when you go to Mea Shearim?
A long dress, and a tichel.
She
She has a
covers her
collection
head.
of tichels, what she likes. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Did you ever
I mean,
see...
what's the big deal? You put it in, you put that punk book. I mean, what's the greatest mitzvah? I mean, for me also, the Armenian book and the Kashinet book here. Big difference.
Do you ever
Just
see...
respect.
Do you ever see in Mea
Yeah.
Shearim that people yell at visitors who come not dressed as they ask? Because that's a big reputation Mea
I
Shearim
mean,
has.
I know there's a big reputation. It's again, you take one little story and make big out of it. If I've seen it personally, no. Does it exist? Yes. There are idiots. As I said to you, there are idiots. The people who do the graffiti and all that, there are idiots. It's usually people who don't study or don't do anything. They just need some activity, and they need a little bit more activity. But again, it's the way how you treat it. I mean, it's like I remember one time there was a demonstration there. On Yecheskel, there was a demonstration against a cellular phone for selling cellular whatever. So go nicht mit der nicht. Kitzer, you see, some people are like, they really have nothing to do. It was a Tuesday afternoon. And so I came there, and I know the community already, and I know this is all BS, I'm going mit der nicht. But I know there are troublemakers. Anyway, so I came in, and I started screaming, Princess, Princess! Somebody's dressed immodestly. And everybody was looking around, where is this woman who is dressed immodestly? Because everybody wants to look a bit, just to see the beautiful woman. It was like, and they see nothing. So where is she? Where is she? And then I started shouting, Shabbos, Shabbos. It's like, it's not Shabbat, it's Tuesday. I mean, it's like, and then they realized I'm making jokes, and the whole thing went, the whole Afghanah, the whole demonstration wanted like disappeared. It's also a question of how you do this, how you deal with these people,
Yeah.
When you see this demonstration, you see a lot of demonstrations, you have to understand, a lot of people who come to the demonstrations are tourists who study in Mea Yeshiva. Yeshivat
Really?
Meir, as like thousands of students, mostly from abroad, and they need entertainment.
Entertainment.
Yeah, so they see the people, these idiots, the Marichuva who come and fight with the police or fight with the Egged buses, transportation, and they come to see it. This is one group of people. There are a lot of groups of people. You have to divide every demonstration, everything that happens there. So it's very, very different. So other people would go, if you are dressed immodestly, would spit at you or do? Yes, there are. I have not seen it personally. And I have not seen a lot of secular people walking on the street. During my year and a half, the only things that I saw was like a controlled tours, by Haredi Jews themselves outside of the neighborhood to take other Jews to have some gefilte fish, some chon, some kugel, on Thursday. So I saw these tours, but non-Haredi. I mean, you have to remember, even myself, before I had to write this book, I mean, Mea Shearim, Jaffa Street in Jerusalem, going down, was off the road for me. So what am I going to do there? What am I going to do in Mea Shearim? I had the same thing that everybody had. They're all mishugoyim, they're all violent, so let's avoid them. When I came there, what for a specific reason to go to see somebody or to interview somebody or to and I felt like I really want a gefilte fish today. I really want, I am the kachont, so I went to Mea Shearim. Otherwise, I would not go to Mea Shearim. Till now. I bought into this thing that it's a violent place. Aggressive people. I bought into that. I lived in Jerusalem many times. I came to Jerusalem and Jaffa Street, going down on Strauss. I'm not going there. It's a violent place, violent people, Mishugoyim. What's the point? And then I decided to live there. And when I lived there, and I realized my prejudices that was fed from the media or from other people who had Haredi, I realized my prejudice. Now I got there, I enjoy coming there. I love it. I come to Jerusalem, go to Mea Shearim, why not? They're funny people.
They're funny. You like the laughing.
And it used to be exactly the opposite.
Sweet. Well,
yeah.
I think you have to come to Williamsburg, though, to try the chulent and the gefilte fish there. I don't know about gefilte fish, but the chulent, the food is getting really good in the Haredi world, right?
I have been there. I have been there many times. Yeah, I mean in the Haredi, yes, I mean you have the top restaurants, you have this, but the chulent is always good. The chulent, I mean you always could have good chulent in Williamsburg, of course. And Kiryas Yol and all these places.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I so enjoyed talking to you. I'm going to link the book in the video description so people can know where they can get the book. I want to thank you, Tuvia, for such a lovely discussion. I look forward to seeing you in Manhattan at the screening of your film. And I want to thank the viewers on YouTube and the listeners on the podcast for joining us as well.
Thank you so much.